everybody. My name is Nii Logdon, and I am an executive level engineer. I have been working on autonomous systems, many of which enabled by AI, for over 25 years now, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. And so now let's get straight to the panel. I am very, very excited. I feel so fortunate to know these people, true leaders in AI in Ghana. Like some of the smartest people I know showed up to be on this panel for you today. Introductions will be included in the panel, and so I'm not going to say too much other than I'm very excited and looking forward to returning to Ghana. We're currently planning a return to train the trainer to scale the ability to teach the knowledge. And, you know, I couldn't have a better partner in Professor Dury and some of the others in doing this, and so I'm very grateful. I do also want to mention that there is a Slido link where you can submit questions for the panel. So we're going to play the recorded panel. Given that folks are all over the world, well, particularly Ghana and US, you know, for the recording of the panel, we recorded in advance to make it easy. But you can submit questions. We will have a couple of folks from the panel live after the panel to answer your questions real time. So with that, I'm going to turn it over so that you can listen to this amazing panel and then be prepared, drop your questions in the Slido as you're listening to the panel, so that we can have an exciting Q&A afterwards. So while they are getting that together, I do want to also mention that during the AI in Actions section, that's probably the most active section, and I do have a surprise for you that I'm very, very eager to get to share. And so I won't say too much about it now. I know all of the volunteers on my team know, and my family knows, but yeah. And so stay tuned after this segment, like within the first 30 minutes, I'll get to introduce all the volunteers and share the surprise as well. And so looking forward to that. And I think since it looks like I'm going to have maybe a few more minutes, I'm going to say a couple more thank yous. So I'm going to take the time to thank, you know, I talk about this often during my videos, like when we do the Waymo Adventures and the other moments of time. My parents have had an incredible influence on me and like who I am today. My father has passed. My mom is a retired school teacher, but both installed like an incredible love for learning, for reading, for being curious, and really made me feel like I could do anything that I put my mind to. And I'm very grateful for that. And even my mom being a retired school teacher led to me spending a lot of time in classrooms and constantly trying to figure out how do you teach kindergartners or Goldenians, for example, when I was in aerospace. And so I spent a lot of time because, you know, what else would I teach them? So I spent a lot of time really figuring out how to take topics that are considered to be more complex tech topics and digest them in a way such that anybody could understand. And so I started doing this under the name of thinqueBytes, I think just over 5 years ago. Formally established the nonprofit earlier this year just because it truly is a passion of mine. And while I think it's important to be a builder and to be in certain rooms, it's also important to take that knowledge and share it and scale it and make sure that AI truly is for everybody. Okay, and so I just got the thumbs up that it looks like we are good to go with the panel. And so I'm going to save the rest of this for after the segment when we get into AI in action. Thank you so much for your patience. I think we're good to go. Hi, everybody. We are very fortunate today to have a panel of people that I am in awe of, people that I am inspired by, people that I am very grateful for. We have a very strong panel of Ghanaian leaders who are here today to talk to us about artificial intelligence, education, and general impact in Ghana and beyond. The world is being transformed by artificial intelligence, and there is impactful work being done in Ghana to influence this transformation. Today, we're going to have a panel discussion with these leaders in AI, robotics, and education to get insight into key work being done in academia and in the community aligned with AI, and to examine fundamental needs to enable the broader community to thrive and flourish in these fields. We will also discuss how we are working to meet these needs through train the trainer sessions and other means. So with that, I don't want to take too much time. I'm going to jump right into introductions, and then I'm going to bow out and let the panel do their thing. So we get to start with Professor Ayorkor. Dr. G. Ayorkor Korsah serves as the head of the Department of Computer Science and Information Systems at Ashesi University in Ghana, where she teaches courses and mentors students in robotics, artificial intelligence, programming, data structures, and algorithms. Her scholarly interests focus on two main areas: strengthening computer education, particularly within the African continent, and exploring the application of technology to development-related challenges. Dr. Korsah is a passionate advocate for women in STEM and for broadening participation in computer science and other technology disciplines. To help strengthen the pipeline of students entering university, she co-created the annual Ashesi Innovation Experience with colleagues at Ashesi University. This pre-college enrichment program aims to inspire high school students by engaging them in leadership, design, robotics, engineering, entrepreneurship, and in the creative arts. Dr. Korsah holds a bachelor's and master's degrees in computer science and engineering from Dartmouth College and a PhD in robotics from Carnegie Mellon, both in the United States. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Next, we are also very fortunate to have Professor Jerry John Kponyo. Professor Jerry is the director of the Office of Grants and Research at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, under the Vice Chancellor's Office. Previously, he has held positions of Dean of Quality Assurance and Planning Office of KNUST, Dean of Faculty of Electrical and Computer Engineering, KNUST, and Head of the Electrical Engineering Department, KNUST. He is the project lead of the KNUST Engineering Education Project, KEEP, and Africa Center of Excellence Impact project sponsored by the Ghanaian government through the World Bank with a focus on digital development and energy. He is the co-founder of the Responsible AI Network, RAIN Africa, a collaborative effort between KNUST and TUM Germany. Between 2016 and 2019, he was a visiting professor at ESIG-ELEC, France, on a staff mobility program where he taught postgraduate courses in business intelligence and conducted research with staff of ESIG-ELEC. Professor Kponyo is the PI and scientific director of the Responsible Artificial Intelligence Lab, RAIL, sponsored by IDRC, FCDO, the French Embassy in Ghana, and GIZ. He was previously coordinator of the West Africa Sustainable Engineering Network for Development, WASEND. He was recently appointed a member of the International Telecommunication Union, ITU, Academic Advisory on Emerging Technologies. He has done extensive research in IoT, intelligent systems, and AI, and has over 80 published articles in refereed journals and conference proceedings. And he is a member of Ghana Institute of Engineers. He is currently leading the review and adoption of Ghana's national AI strategy. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Next, we have Professor Nii Logdon Soa. Professor Nii is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Computer Engineering Department. He holds a PhD in Information and Communication Engineering from the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China in Chengdu, China. His research interests include artificial intelligence, robotics, multiple object detection, and tracking. He is also an IT consultant. He has authored and co-authored several peer-reviewed journals and conference proceedings. He believes that theoretical knowledge should go hand in hand with practical knowledge. He is contributor to the Ghana Artificial Intelligence Practitioner's Guide and an advocate of the National AI Strategy. He is an expert panelist at the Ministerial AI Bootcamp organized by UNDP and the Ministry of Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation. He is currently working on an AI local language accelerator with UNDP. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And last but certainly not least, we have our moderator. So Dr. Challen Enninful Adu has a PhD in robotics from the University of Michigan doing research on safe motion planning and optimal control of high-dimensional robotic systems. His work spans various robotic systems from ground vehicles to manipulators and legged robots.
He is currently an applied scientist at Amazon Robotics, working on deformable manipulation and deploying robots with a sense of touch at scale. He holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Lehigh University and a master's in robotics from University of Michigan. During his PhD, he won various research fellowships and awards like the Robotics Institute Fellowship and the ARC Research Excellence Award. Thank you so much, Challen. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thanks for having me, Nia.
Okay, so we have this illustrious panel of professors, PhDs here with us today. With that, I'm going to turn it over to you all and listen intently to every word that you say. Thank you.
Cool. Once again, thank you guys for joining us today. Looking forward to having a spirited and insightful discussion. So we can go ahead and get started with the first question, which is, how is AI shaping the future of work, learning, and opportunity in Ghana? And anyone who wants to speak on that can go ahead.
Okay, let me start. All right, so it's evident that AI has capacity of an increasing productivity significantly, and recently it came to light that at least when it comes to productivity, AI is able to boost productivity by 40%. And so, coming from the angle of the national AI strategy and then plans underway to ensure that we are integrating AI into the public sector. There are interventions with reference to making sure that at least when it comes to basic application of AI, we are making people aware as far as enhancement of their productivity with AI is concerned. And for somebody who is working in the academic space, leveraging on AI when it comes to the outputs that we see coming from our students and even as faculty, using AI responsibly, we recognize that there is a significant enhancement as far as productivity is concerned. In the area of robotics, also, previously you will realize that most of the scientific concepts were looked at within an abstract perspective, where most of the things were theoretical. But now we see that leveraging on robotics and AI, what they learn in science, they are able to put various pieces together and see the science in action. And so, in response to your question, what I can say is that things are getting more and more exciting, especially with the integration of AI and robotics in the educational space and also in the workforce. I pass it on to my other colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jerry. Um,
Okay.
okay, so let me comment now. Or do you want to comment, Ayorkor?
You can go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, last year we had a AI and robotics embedded in the new curriculum for high schools in Ghana. And I was kind of fortunate to be part of the technical team, that helped, that gave advice, right? And we're able to give a contract to a company that built, I think, about 12 AI labs across different regions in the country. I was fortunate to go with some other colleagues to inspect the labs, see the equipment and all that, and have it okayed to be ready to be used, right, in those high schools. So I think when it comes to AI and robotics, the national curriculum for high school is shaping itself to adopt it, except that maybe, yes, we wished all schools could get it, but due to lack of enough funds, some schools have it. And we were told last year by the then Minister of Education, that some schools will have to do co-sharing of the equipment in some of the labs. Um, I know that some of the universities too have courses in AI and robotics. I heard from Professor Jerry's vice chancellor that I think from next academic year, they want to introduce AI as a compulsory course for all undergraduate students, regardless of their majors. And that goes to show the extent of how we see AI as being important in the educational system in Ghana. Yeah, that's all I'll say for now. Thank you.
I'll add on to what my esteemed colleagues have said. You can think of the impact. You talked about education, you talked about work, right? And you talked about innovation. And you can think of the impact that AI is having across numerous domains in terms of the new tools that are available to us, particularly a lot of the generative AI tools. And as has been mentioned, this is leading to um, you could say sort of more efficiency, more creativity in terms of the work people do across different domains. We had an interesting forum with some employers late last year, where we were asking sort of how is AI impacting work, and this was across law firms, software development companies, banks, across different domains. You saw a variety of ways that AI is currently being applied in the work that people do, right? Now when it comes to education, as has already been mentioned, there's a lot of potential for AI to enhance education if it is used correctly, right? And I think we're sort of in this transition period where students are grappling with understanding how they should use AI in ways that enhance their critical thinking, enhance their ability to learn, enhance the scope of what they can learn, and not use it in a way that causes them to sort of turn off their brains and just hand their work over to AI. And so at the moment, we're in terms of education, we're actually at a critical point where it could actually go either way. It could be a good outcome if it's used in the right way, but we could actually have a generation of people graduating without the skills that we need them to have if they if they use AI the wrong way. But beyond being users, I think what is most exciting for Ghana is moving into the space of actually being creators of AI tools and technologies. And I think this is where a lot of the work that's being done in different institutions, in various labs at different universities becomes really exciting, because the focus is not just on developing capability to use AI, but developing the capability to create AI driven solutions to problems that are really important to the local context. And I think that's what's perhaps most exciting.
Wow. Thank you guys for the insightful answers. I think kind of the ending of this question is a perfect segue into our next question, which is really like, what is the biggest challenge that the world has to overcome in AI deployment and integration into society? But more specifically, what do you guys think the biggest challenge is for deploying this in Ghana? So I know you guys had talked about already different deployments to like 12 different labs, and Dr. Ayorkor was also talking about figuring out how exactly we can begin to create, our own variants, our own neural networks that will be able to help the local populace with their local problems. And that kind of leads us to what exactly is the biggest challenge that we must overcome in order to actually deploy these AI tools in the Ghanaian environment, in the Ghanaian context.
Mm. Okay. I guess I can start once again.
I think we
Sure.
can continue that order. It's not bad at all.
I'm looking at Ayoko even as I'm saying that. Okay. So I mean, what I'm thinking about is of what use. I mean, is AI and AI solutions. If my grandmother in my village cannot benefit from it, of what use is investing so much and giving me education that can transform lives, but the people in my local communities cannot benefit from it. And so I believe strongly that when it comes to deploying AI solutions, the local context is very, very important. And so when it comes to what the greatest challenge is, I mean, your AI solution is as good as the data with which your models are trained. And so
Exactly.
it is important that the data is representative. I mean,
Exactly.
recently we've been developing AI solutions for persons with disability and all that. And we are saying, I mean, of what use is it if, for instance, if my dad has a visual impairment, I really want him to be able to say that, oh, my son went to the university, learned something, and now I've been empowered because of that. And so it's important that those barriers are broken so that we are able to indigenize the solutions that are developed so that our farmers in our rural communities, our market women, all the people within our local communities can benefit fully from these solutions. So one of the greatest challenges has been the issue of data. And so if we have data that is representative and captures the unique context of the local communities, then AI solutions will be useful. The other issue has to do with the whole issue of creating the enabling environment for these solutions to thrive. I mean, you have wonderful solutions, but if there is no internet, if there is no power, then what happens? So these are things that we need to fix to ensure that we are making maximum use and benefiting fully from this great potential that we have in our hands. I'll leave it here. Mm.
Yeah, I think another challenge is language, which ties into what Professor Jerry said, right?
Mhm.
I mean, most AI solutions are in English, right?
Yeah.
Yes, in Ghana, national language is English, but a lot of people still use the local language. And that's
Mhm.
why I'm working with UNDP on this local language accelerator. We want to see how we can develop AI tools that will be in the local language. We want to start with Tree, the Tree language first, and then look at other languages so that people who cannot read or write can still benefit from AI because it's in their local language. So they can use um, automatic speech recognition tools to be able to access AI to get
Mhm.
information either read out to them in their local language or typed out to them in their local language. So one definite challenge we have here is language. One
Mhm.
other challenge we have as well is the fact that um, I spoke at an event and I said that AI needs to be taken to the streets. You see, a lot of the young people in Ghana are on the streets. Some are working, some are not working, But most of the time, when we talk about AI, we're talking about AI in academia, we're talking about AI in industry. But a lot of the young people, they just hear bits and pieces of it, and it'll be good, especially a lot of the young people too who don't have jobs.
Mm.
Some don't have a first degree, but if they can, people can gather them and teach them about what AI is, the potential of AI. It will help a lot. So
Mhm.
I think that's also one of the challenges that we have in Ghana. I think Dr. Ayorkor can continue from here.
Do I have left to say? I mean, I definitely agree with a lot of what both of you have said. I'll add, though, that I think that when we talk about the a challenge when it comes to deploying and integrating AI in society, I do think conceptually we have a challenge with, first of all, people understanding the what how AI solutions work and hence their limitations. When users are perhaps not from a technical background, there can be a tendency of thinking that, hey, look, this solution is supreme, sort of. Whatever it says is correct. Whatever, it works by magic, more or less. And that, I think, is a big risk because we all know that it's really one big probability machine, like these large language models. And so it's very important for users to still have their critical thinking caps on. We see the harm that comes from people just taking at face value whatever they are fed, right? And there's a tendency, because the tools are so powerful, there's a possibility of relying more and more upon these tools without relevant safeguards. So I would say a challenge that we need to really think about as we're thinking about integration of AI in society is sort of more on the ethical side of things. What is people's mental model of how these AI tools work? How much trust do they place in these systems? Is that trust justified? Is it not justified? How what safeguards should we put in place to collectively agree on what we can and cannot use AI for? So I think having a workable ethical framework is still very much a work in progress. And I think it's a big challenge that we need to think about if we're really talking about integrating AI into society.
Thank you guys for the really good discussion. I think we kind of chatted a little bit about this, but the next question, I guess we have the opportunity to go in a bit deeper. But do you guys think there are unique opportunities in Ghana where applying AI could have significant impact on the local populace?
Hmm.
Mm. Mm. Ayorkor.
Hey, this is fair.
I
To be
think I
very
think this time ladies first. So
We
we
want
just
to,
wanna apply.
we want to flip it a bit.
I'll be honest and I'll say I don't know.
Mhm.
In
Mm.
that, obviously, I'm very excited about AI, and passionate about all the potential. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that an AI sort of evangelist that believes that AI is the solution to all of our problems, right? I think there are lots of interesting application areas. So, for example, we think about things like diagnosing plant diseases, so potential ways of AI to impact farmers. There's a lot of potential when it comes to education. There's
Mm.
a lot of potential when it comes to multiplying the impact or the reach of the very few medical professionals that we have. I mean, our doctor to patient ratio is ridiculously low, or is it high? Yeah, doctor to patient is low, and so there's a lot of potential for thinking about things like can you do some preliminary diagnosis using AI tools that then indicates whether this person who has some kind, some um, strange illness in a rural area needs to be referred to a tertiary hospital. So there are lots of potential really powerful and impactful applications, right? However, I think we also must remember that development and real impact comes from developing human potential. And so we cannot use the fact that we can use AI to solve all of these problems as kind of a panacea to think that we can get away and we're actually going to benefit from all of these AI tools if we're not paying attention to the human agency and the development of our human resources, right? So you can't, for example, think that agriculture can stay in the state that it is because you're going to have a few really powerful AI solutions developed by one or two companies who are going to get them really rich from that. And yet, the majority of our population, who are farmers, are not going to be able to kind of, raise the level of their engagement in agriculture, right? So I think we need to really think carefully about how we think about deploying AI, and not be lulled into, not sort of be pushed into this a situation where more and more it's a very, very small segment of the population who are reaping the benefits of this, because they're creating solutions that are then being used by the masses. But only a few people are actually reaping the real benefits of that solution. So I think we need to be careful, and I don't think we should pretend that it's a magic wand. So
Mm.
those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. So what I will add to what Ayoko has said is, we don't. I mean, AI. I mean, holds tremendous potential regarding most of the sectors that she has mentioned, and the low hanging fruit is in the area of agriculture, and also we can make very meaningful impact, especially with healthcare in the rural communities. I
Mhm.
mean, there is, I mean, potential to enhance accuracy of diagnostics if we have AI working with the human agent. Remember that I'm saying the AI working with the human, not the other way around. So, in all situations, we must see the AI as an assistant or as a tool to make the human agent better at what he does. But having said that, it is important that, as she rightly said, we do not assume that everybody has the know how to use AI efficiently. So, for instance, in the student context like this, if you put an AI or if you put an LLM in the hands of a student, you have to assume that the person knows how to use it to get maximum effect. We need to painstakingly teach them how to leverage on prompt engineering, how to leverage on various, I mean, scales to make the most of the AI. And so I want to agree that there is tremendous potential, but to be able to do that, there is the need to build capacity with reference to how we can relate with the AI for maximum impact. So, for instance, if we say that the agricultural sector is a low hanging fruit, if you do not teach the farmers or if you do not create awareness amongst them regarding the impact that AI can make in that sector, you will develop the solutions, all right, but you will come back and no one will be using it. The same applies to, I mean, applications like leveraging on AI for persons with disability. Over the years, many solutions have been developed, but they are all gathering dust on the shelves. So it's always important that as much as we project AI as having tremendous potential, we must be intentional about building capacity with reference to how to, one, responsibly use AI, and two, how to use AI for maximum effect. If you don't do that, I mean, students will just be asking AI things that are not proper, and then at the end of the day, you will get results that are not accurate, and you will definitely not get much from them. So, what I'm adding to what she said is that we need to build capacity as far as using AI responsibly and effectively for maximum effect.
Yeah, I think I agree with what my colleagues have said. Yeah, AI is not a magic wand, but it's a great tool. And
Yeah.
just as all tools, if you have a tool and you don't know how to use it well, you
Mm.
cannot get the most out of it. So we need to. The greatest potential lies in teaching the young population, especially, how the tool works and how to use the tool well for maximum effect. So
Mm.
that's where the greatest potential for AI lies in Ghana. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank
And
you guys.
I'll just add, if you don't mind, I'll just add on just to emphasize that last point. So, how to use it well and how to create and adapt.
Mm,
Because if we remain primarily as users, then we don't have agency. Um, you're restricted to what someone else creates.
mm,
And I think that's where, there is perhaps the greatest potential. I always love to tell, when people ask me, "Oh, what do you think is the killer application of robotics in Africa or Ghana?" I proudly say that I don't know, but my job is to basically train my students and they'll figure it out, right?
mm, mm,
Because we need to have people who are actually innovating. And that's where I think the greatest impact lies, because then when people are empowered to actually create and innovate and they understand how things work, they will have a fluorescence of applications that are really powerful and impactful that no one else could have thought of because no one else was in that context.
mm.
Cool. Um, yeah, very insightful thoughts. Thank you guys so much. I guess throughout this discussion, we've kind of, in the bios as well, we've kind of gotten some insight as to some of the projects and collaborations you guys have been working on. But I think with this next question, we can kind of dive in a bit further. So, can you guys highlight a project or collaboration that shows the innovation coming from within Ghana's AI and robotics community? And since in the last question, Dr. Ayorkor went first, if she wants to, she can go first this time.
This is not fair at all. I'm really looking forward to also hearing from my colleagues on this, but I'll share an example of a project which was done by some colleagues of mine at Ashesi, and this is sort of, in a sense, an internal tool, which is basically an accessible AI-powered learning management system that basically enables, for example, students to material to be auto captioned in a variety of languages, including our local language. Some of our own local languages includes some accessibility features to make it more usable for people with various kinds of disabilities. Even just it's improved the accuracy of captions of people with African accented speech, because the standard speech recognition technologies, as most of us know, don't work well when all of a sudden this thing has been published saying it has a 90% um, accuracy in transcription, and then you and I try it and it's the accuracy. I think someone did a study. It was around 50% on average for accents that were on the Ashesi campus, which are, accents from a variety of African countries. And so even just improving models so that the captioning of the text of the content being taught was more accurate. So in a variety of ways, this tool incorporates AI technologies, and it's used by incoming students to Ashesi to learn, some material prior to getting here. So I think that's a pretty exciting project. But as I said, I look forward to hearing from my colleagues. I think there are lots of exciting things happening in Ghana.
It's very exciting.
Okay. Nii, you want to go and then I come last? Or
Okay, that's fine. So I think one most recent project I've been involved in is the AI Practitioner's Guide,
Mhm.
which is basically a document. We've had to really compress it and compress it. That talks about the state of AI in the country, so that anyone who wants to know, what is going on with AI in various fields, academia, industry, and what have you, anyone who wants to know all these things can just read it. I don't know whether it is on sale or it's just free to download. I'll have to find out.
Mhm.
I'll have to find out, and I can let you know so that to those of our viewers who are interested in getting to know more about the state of AI in Ghana could be able to access it and read it. So that's one project I was involved in. Um, the current project I'm involved in, we're waiting for some funds. That's the UNDP thing. We've got some data, some text data, but we need to collect some more voice data in the local language. We want to make sure that anyone who doesn't speak or read English very well can still be able to access LLMs in their local language. So that's one project that I'm working on currently. Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay. Yeah, so at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, a place I'm hoping you all can get to visit. Nii was here, so he knows the place. But Ayorkor and then Edu, do your best to come.
That's for
Um,
KDST. I know KDST well, oh.
hey,
But it's just that
yo,
it's been a little while, so
okay. We should plan that. You should come back.
well,
All
I
right.
will.
So um, the solutions that we develop and some of them that I've been involved in directly try to uh, impact people in our immediate communities. And one that readily comes to mind is a scenario where someone who is, let's say, deaf and can only sign goes to the consulting room. And Dr. Ayorkor is sitting in the consulting room. He can only sign, and the doctor doesn't understand sign language. So
Mhm.
he's telling the doctor, I have a headache. And he's signing, I have a headache. And the doctor is wondering, what is this guy trying to communicate?
Mhm.
And the more he signs, the more confused the doctor becomes. And then his headache compounds. So, what we have tried to do is develop what we call sign talk, where you have an AI that serves as an intermediary
Mhm.
between the one who signs and then the doctor. So he
Mhm.
signs, I have a headache, and then the AI, the avatar, communicates to the doctor that this is what he means. And then the doctor also will speak, or if you have a headache, take a paracetamol. And then
Mhm.
the avatar will sign to the person that this is what the doctor is saying. And so this is one of the interventions to help people who previously had been marginalized be able to access care in our various hospitals. One other thing also that readily comes to mind, he talks about language and all that. But in Ghana, there is something that we normally don't talk about, and that is code switching. You know,
Yeah.
especially if you are a fanti, you can't finish a sentence without mixing English and then Twi. Okay, and for them, it is accepted. So you also do not have translators that have been trained to accommodate code switching. And so that is also something that we are hoping that as much as we are trying to make sure that low resource languages are incorporated in our AI solutions, where there are issues of code switching also, we ensure
Mhm.
that that also is taken into consideration. Then there is the almighty problem of galamsey and what it has done to our water bodies. How do we see how we are able to leverage on our various tools to get the water clean? But in doing so, we continuously monitor and see how we are able to get it to a point where it is wholesome. And so we are developing sensors that are communicating with various tools and trying to see whether it can get it to a certain level so that at least the villagers can also drink some good water. It is not wholly AI, but there
Mhm.
is some
Right.
AI integration in that. And for me, what I find joy in is making sure that we are impacting a life. And those three things I find very exciting because it makes the world a better place. Mm.
Thank you guys so much for sharing your insights. Um, I guess we'll have kind of a more fun question, which is if you guys could snap your fingers, immediately have an AI or an autonomous machine do one thing to make human life easier, what would that be? And I think this time we should start back with Professor Jerry.
Oh, in all honesty, um, I seem to have fallen in love with assistive technology, primarily because I have seen the challenges that caregivers go through trying to assist persons with disability. If we can have an AI that empowers people and give them more agency with reference to the ability to do things for themselves, I will go for that. And the reality is that as we age, we all get to a point where we need assistive tech. And so I need AI to be able to help me so that as I grow, I do not lose my agency, but I become even better at what I do. So if I want to, one that what AI can do, AI makes it possible for everybody to be able to live his dream to the fullest. Yeah.
Ayoko, do you want to go?
No, no, Professor Nii, I think you have to go.
For this question, I'm torn. On the one hand, I think we're sort of on the way there, but I think having sort of the optimal AI agents to help you learn anything you need to learn, I think
Mm.
would be really cool, and learn it in a way that makes sense for you and in your context. Figure out there's so much knowledge out there, right? But sifting through and figuring out, okay, what exactly does this person need? I think sort of an optimal learning agent would be really cool. And really, I would also say, I mean, again, we're on our way there, so these are not very creative answers, but the really a very effective personal assistant would be great because there's so many dimensions of life, and a lot to juggle, and so having a really really effective personal assistant would help.
Well, I think I would love to have a robot in my house, a humanoid robot that can help. That can help with school homework, for the kids, and that can also help with some menial tasks at home. I think everybody could do with some help with menial tasks, right? Washing dishes or sweeping or mopping. You could just say, "Hey, robot, can you mop that?" That's it. You'll just do everything, without much assistance. I think that would be cool and pretty affordable. You see, that's the challenge. A lot of humanoid robots are freaking expensive, very expensive. So, to have something like that in my home, I think that's it.
I think a lot about that in like the African and Ghanaian context, and I'm thinking there's definitely tasks that they won't be trained on, like hanging clothes on a drying line,
The
for
drying
example.
line. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, but there are various areas that humanoids can come in handy, especially in the mining areas where it is unsafe for human beings. I mean, recently we had a mine collapse on a number of people. So if we can easily develop robots that will do that in place of human beings operating in the mines, that will help. And these days there are, various tools that we can deploy to ensure that even in the mines you can control movement and stuff, so that you don't expose human beings to a lot of danger. I'm sure that robots and then AI can come in handy when it comes to that. Yeah.
I mean,
But I need
I
one
think
in
in
my
New
home.
Zealand, most of the mines are, I think New Zealand or Australia, most of the mines are completely automated.
Mm.
So
Oh,
you
Mm.
have people sitting in a control room, and all these trucks, are just moving back and forth, completely
Mm.
autonomous.
Mm.
wow.
Mm.
But anyway,
Listen.
That's cool. So on to our next question. what are some of the real world consequences of certain communities being left out of the AI revolution?
Yeah. Okay. Let me start before Ayorkor says I'm being unfair.
No, the next question, Nii is going to start. I've already nominated him, and the next question, Nii is going to start. So
Okay.
over to you, Prof. Jerry, for this one.
Yeah. I mean, I still come back to the whole issue about persons with disability. And the reality is that 15% of the global population are persons with disability. But most of the solutions that have been developed haven't taken such people into consideration. And that is a significant population that has been left out. And what happens then is that at the end of the day, we are widening the gap rather than bridging it. And so you have a situation where there are AI tools that are being deployed in our various classrooms that are making some students who are already smart even smarter, but they have not been adapted to children with special needs in the classroom. And so at the end of the day, we are widening the gap. So primarily what it means when we leave some populations is that rather than technology bridging the gap, it widens it, and the world does not become a better place. And for somebody coming from the responsible AI lab, I will say that that is irresponsible use of technology and not responsible use of it.
Thank you, Professor Jerry. I guess Professor Nee.
Um, well, I think one of the challenges too is the fact that majority of the AI tools are, based in the US. Majority of them are based in the US. Majority of AI compute is resident in the US, and so we are unable to have, should I say, a better creative environment in Ghana, where you could say that, okay, I have this idea, I have this number of compute available to just go try it out. I have this amount of data which is both localized and has some input from external sources. So I could just try it out and then let's see what kind of models I'm able to build, you know. And so looking at the fact that when you look at the whole world, majority of young people are in Africa, and most of the AI, tools being built are not being built here. It presents a little bit of a challenge, and so hopefully I hope that thing could be worked on. Yeah.
I mean, I think I mean, I completely agree with everything that has been said, and I would say that, I mean, so sometimes we look at these issues from a point of view of sort of equity and ethics and morality, but we also need to recognize and I think believe that if certain parts populations are not being included, what that
Mm,
means is that the rest of us are not benefiting from the value that they would bring
yeah.
if they were on board, right?
Mm,
And I think it's very important that we believe that
mm,
having tools that are accessible, for example, to people with disabilities, not only the right thing to do, but we need to believe that those populations have value to bring if we let them.
mm,
Similarly, people from different language backgrounds, similarly for people from different parts of the country, people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, we need
mm,
to recognize that when the opportunity is open for people to fully participate, everybody is going to benefit.
mm.
So we're not, it's not, we're not doing anyone a favor. We're doing humanity a favor when we think
Exactly.
about it.
Cool. Um, Yeah, I think all of these thoughts are really important and pertinent, and I think they're things that we should be carrying forward as we're kind of developing these new AI agents and their capabilities. Um, to the next question, um, why is it important to train local leaders and educators, and not just students, in AI and robotics?
Yeah.
So Nii is starting with this one.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
rightly so.
so yeah, as was read earlier, this year I had the opportunity to join the government of
Yeah.
Ghana, um, cabinet ministers and all that for their annual leadership retreat, right? And I was part of a panel that spoke about AI in a VUCA world, and it was quite interesting. Sampling some of them, their knowledge about AI and what they think of it. Some felt that those who knew it were kind of like pushing it down the throats of those who were not so interested, But
Mm,
it's really important that leaders in Ghana get involved in AI because you see, number one, the leaders shape policy, right? They determine, what is
mm,
acceptable, what is not. They set the rules and regulations in the country. And so if they don't really understand what it is and its benefit to the country, then we are in trouble because then they will not push any agenda to um, enable people to learn more about AI, and they will also not push any agenda to ensure that AI is used responsibly in the country. And that's a challenge. We've already spoken about the bias, in a lot of AI models and all that. And so if the leaders are well informed, they can push to equalize the bias that we have with AI
mm.
tools and what have you. So yeah, it's really important. It's very leaders, both political, educational, and agriculture, like all spheres of the country. Yeah.
I think Professor Jerry, maybe you're next.
I was going to go last, but that is fine. Um, I want to agree with everything that Nii has said, and the reality is that if the people who have influence and are able to take decisions understand what the potential is, then they are able to make resources available to it. And I want to come from the angle where I've been involved in drafting the national AI strategy for Ghana. And the reality and the argument that I've always advanced is that a strategy by itself, I mean, is a beautiful document. But if you don't give it life with an implementation plan and a supporting budget, it remains a piece of paper. And so the people who make decisions, who go for cabinet meetings and eventually make allocations with reference to how we can create an enabling environment for AI to thrive, if such people do not understand the potential of AI, forget about everything that you are doing. And that is the reason why we need to get the policymakers to understand the potential of AI and the role that it can play in our discourse. But beyond the policymakers, it is important that the users are also educated with reference to the potential that AI wills as far as their own workings are concerned. Because, as I did indicate, awareness is important, but understanding the impact that the AI can have, the business that the person is doing, is also what will trigger the person's usage of it. We realize that only about 25% of solutions that have been developed are being used. What then it means is that 75% of all the effort that has gone into developing tech solutions are just going down the drain. And so it's important that as we try to educate the policymakers, we also educate the end users, and not just educate them, but involve them in the development or the creation of the solution so that there is co ownership and they realize that we have done this together. And so the uptake is even higher. And so when it comes to education, Right from the developers to the end user, everybody needs some bit of it so that at the end of the day, it doesn't become an exercise in futility.
Cool. Thank you, Professor Jerry. Professor Corsa,
Yeah,
um,
I'll just
you're,
add that.
oh, sorry,
Sorry.
I was going to say, as you're answering your question, if you could also speak a little bit about um, how important it is to educate the educators as well, because I know that that's
I
something.
mean, that was precisely what I was going to focus on, because it's also about multiplying impact, right? So you can build the capacity of 50 students, for example, and they'll go on and do amazing things. You can build the capacity of 10 educators who then each builds the capacity of 100 students, and all of a sudden you have a 10x, you know, you know, 10 times the impact. And so I really think that it's about multiplying the impact, and it's also about ensuring sustainability in whatever the capacity builder that you're trying to do. I often, I just to give an example, at my university we have the benefit of having visiting faculty, every once in a while, and it's always nice to have a visiting faculty because they bring different perspectives, they bring new expertise, so they definitely enrich, right? But if all they do is teach a class, that class benefits, and then they leave and there's no lasting impact on the institution. And so when you have the opportunity to have that kind, some new expertise, it's really important to ensure that beyond the students who are there at that particular moment in time, the institution also benefits, right? So, and that can happen through, for example, interaction with the educators, with the faculty, and there are other ways of ensuring that the institution as a whole benefits. And so I think that everything that has been said about the leaders and the decision makers and the policy makers is completely true. And then for the educators, the key thing is that multiplicative effect of the impact that
Sure.
they can.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I guess in line with you know, educating and training the educators, I know in February thinqueBytes is going to be coming to Ghana to have a train the trainer set of sessions where essentially we'd be trying to do exactly that, educating the educators. Um, I guess I wanted to ask you guys, what do you guys think is unique about the upcoming Train the Trainer sessions in February? And how do you think they'll create ripple effects in communities, especially Professor Jerry, because I know that you're going to be participating in these.
Yeah, I want to pick it up from where Ayorkor, I can call you my sister, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So I want to pick it up from where my dear sister left off. And that has to do with the impact that we make by building capacity of the teachers. Previously, Nii had talked about being part of a curriculum that had been developed with the intention of integrating robotics and STEM in our schools. A critical component, or when we talk of a rate determining step is ensuring that those who are going to administer that curriculum are on top of their game. And that is where the training of trainers is very important. Irrespective of how beautiful the curriculum is, if the teacher who is spending a lot of time with the students will run away from a computer when you give it to him, then we have a problem. Then we have a problem on our hands. And so the training of trainers gives teachers agency capacity to be able to have a firm grasp of the curriculum and be able to administer it with joy. And so in February, working with Nia and the team, we are bringing together a number of teachers and building their capacity. And the ripple effect is this. I mean, we have a similar program that we are running, and we have, for instance, 22 schools scattered across the country that we are working with. And for every one of these 22 schools, you can translate to about 200 students that every teacher is impacting. And so when you multiply that by the number of teachers, and you realize that by the people that they are going to train, they also will go and train other people, then eventually what it means is that from just a few teachers, we are impacting the thousands and the millions. And so February is the month, and whatever it is that we are all doing, let's prioritize that. Let's gather and be part of such an exciting enterprise, because for me that gives me satisfaction, and me knowing that we are impacting the future and leaving a legacy is all that we live for.
Thank you,
I'll
Professor.
leave it. Yeah.
Professor Nii and Professor Ayorkor, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on this.
He's hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. I think it will be good to get to know more. I'm sure maybe in somewhere in this event you'll explain more to our audience what it's about. And I think if some people in the audience are interested in coming to Ghana to take part, why not? I think they're welcome. So yeah, we'll be here waiting.
Cool. Once again, thank you guys so much for this really lively and insightful discussion. I think we're just about approaching time, so I wanted to kind of hand off to Nia for some closing remarks. Yeah.
Thank you, Challen.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for being an amazing moderator, Challen. Thank you so much, everybody. This was incredibly insightful. I look forward to seeing the questions and comments that come in as we transition to doing the Q&A. And with that, I'll just say thank you so much. I'm very grateful. Like just the power of the people that we have on this call right now is not overlooked, and to have you all make time to be together, especially given that 3 people are in Ghana, 2 people are in Pacific time in the US. It was a non-trivial thing to do, and I am forever grateful to all of you. And I look forward to seeing you all in person when I return in February.
Thank you so much for the amazing panel. That was wonderful for me to see. It's always amazing to get different perspectives, just to get a wide variety of perspectives on AI, and to hear from those leaders. We are very fortunate, to have that today. So I also want to say thank you all for hanging in through the technical difficulties. Things happen. Things are always going to happen. It's not whether or not things are going to happen. It's how you deal with it when they do. And so I'm very grateful that the team here, handled it, and that we're able to, do what we're doing. So I do want to take the time to take the 2 questions that are in the Slido. The Slido link was put into the chat. Given that we're going to try to make up time in the AI in action section, we are just going to take the 2 questions that are currently there. And so if we could bring, I know that Challen had to go. He has family in town. Thank you for everyone joining us this busy holiday weekend. But Nii, I believe, is hanging in there to be able to answer 2 questions live. And so
yeah,
Nii is in the stream.
Yes, I'm here.
Hopefully. Look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Nii, trying that again.
Hi, Nia. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Yes, working through the audio. Got it. Okay. So thanks for hanging in there. I know it's quite late your time. We tried to put the global engagement segment at the beginning so that we could accommodate our folks in Greenwich Mean Time and GMT, including our Ghanaian friends. And so I'm just going to jump right in and ask you a couple of questions. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with who should have a seat at the table when defining global AI rules? Governments, corporations, researchers, the general public?
Well, I would say everyone. Yeah. So, because the government makes the policies, right? The corporations have some data. They also have got some money to spend on research and the like. And then the general public are the end users of AI products, right? So I think everybody should have a say. Everybody should have a seat at the table. I think currently what's going on is there is very little AI regulation. There is some kind of regulation, but because AI keeps evolving, right? So regulations take some time, before they are enforced and all that. So, but yeah, that's my answer. Everybody should have a seat at the table.
Yeah. And fair point, with respect to things taking time, like technology is advancing so quickly that, for some of this stuff, we're writing the standards, for safety as we're building the products, and trying to deploy them. And so it's very important to find that balance and agree wholeheartedly that we need to include all of those groups at the table, as we do this. Thank you, Nii.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. What help do you need to scale education to help make it accessible for all?
Do you mean AI education or just education in general?
The question reads just education in general, and so I'll leave it up to you to interpret. What help do you need to scale education to help make it accessible for all?
Wow, that's that's a difficult question. So let me talk from the point of view as a Ghanaian, right? So in Ghana we have a free, compulsory, universal, basic education. So in Ghana it's more or less compulsory for all children to be educated. So yeah, we've got the public schools and all that. Then we have the private schools and all that. So in terms of help to scale education, I don't know. I think maybe just to provide more opportunity, for some kind of specialized education for, especially those in the public schools, right? Because those in the public schools, education is free, right? Sometimes depending on the city, depending on the region of the country, sometimes they lack some amenities, they lack some infrastructure and what have you. So I think in terms of the reach of education is reaching everywhere in the country, but some places need more support in terms of infrastructure. Yeah. But then let me now narrow it down, since there's a talk about AI. Let me narrow it down to AI education. So with AI education, yes, a lot of the support we need is to translate AI education into local languages. To take it out there to people who don't speak English or who don't read English, so that they can understand what AI is and the power of AI. And even for those who speak English and are literate, some of them still don't fully appreciate the concept of AI. They know what it is. Some don't even know what it is. So I think, we need some more resources to be able to spread the word about AI in the country, especially to people in the smaller towns. Yeah.
Yeah, very fair point. Well, with that, I'll just say thank you so much, Nii. Is there anything else you want to share before we transition out of this segment?
Well, thank you everyone for making time during this Thanksgiving holiday. I know it's Thanksgiving in the US, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And I hope some of you can just donate or volunteer some time for thinqueBytes to support the work they are doing. Yeah. So thank you very much for having me, Nia, and the whole thinqueBytes team.
Yes. Thank you so much, Nii. And, I will say, to the point that you're making with respect to, scaling AI knowledge, it's very important that segments of the population not be left behind. It's very important that people who maybe even think they really know what AI is, but are AI adjacent in certain careers, have access to knowledge to really make sure that we're all moving forward in a way that that is going to allow us as a society to be productive, successful, and efficient when it comes to artificial intelligence. And so I think there's multiple avenues, there's multiple ways to do that. One of which is train the trainer to scale knowledge, and so that's what the Return to Ghana trip is going to be focused on. Train the trainer. Very excited, very eager to go back and do that. As I mentioned at the beginning, this stuff does cost money, and so we welcome donations. Once again, enjoy the program either way. However, some of the donations that we're collecting today will go towards helping to support that Return to Ghana trip for Train the Trainer.